Rileycs.
Rileycs.
Gamers, in fact, strongly believe that this person is cheating.
You can sense how something's off with his aiming and playstyle, even before you can bring yourself to articulate why.
These streams here, not everyone else can access these. Put them up so people can watch them.
Your peculiar oriental practices, which I tease you about, are obviously working wonders on your grass cells.
Maybe it's the rice.
I hope not, Hastings.
Hi there, CEO of Cheating here. You know, I didn't expect that I would end up having to make this video. I figured that if I did do a video on this entire ordeal, it would be relatively straightforward, and the things, by and large, would be self-evident. Turns out that there is a lot more nuance to this entire ordeal than I previously believed, and this video ended up being a bit of a nightmare to even conceptualize. By now, you should know exactly who this individual is. This is Rileycs, someone who went viral over cheating accusations back in August, as they were playing the Battlefield 6 beta. I kept seeing it show up in my feed and I didn't pay much attention to it. However, due to the fact it kept showing up and apparently there was a big debate around it, I watched the highlights video and a good chunk of the defense video, made a little post, just a rough guess without thinking too much, and then went to bed. Turned out that I had gone viral and over the span of a few days, amassed over 11 million views. I'll be completely honest, I began to get self-conscious because I started reanalyzing my post and noticed two very big mistakes I made in the post. The point of what I was trying to get at with this post that you're seeing on screen now backfired spectacularly because it became a dick measuring competition of credentials when that was not the intention I had. Although, looking back on it, I can't blame absolutely anybody for reaching any conclusion other than the one that most people reached. It's almost like I don't even study English, like honestly, what the fuck was I doing? As I mentioned previously, I made two glaring mistakes in this post that I'm going to address. One of them I will leave for later because it's more relevant that way, but I cannot in good faith continue this video without clarifying something. It's something that I did not clarify sooner because I was afraid I would start a giant shitstorm that would get completely out of control, especially because all I could do at the time was tweet or maybe make a YouTube short. And that thing is the cheat dev bit. A lot of people, rightly so, took this to mean that I was claiming seniority, trying to claim that I was a pro, that I was super knowledgeable, and that I had experience with a lot of engines or something like that. Put simply, I had a bit of a woman moment. The transition's going really well, I suppose. But no, what I wanted to say is that I was a hobbyist, and a casual one at that. I was just someone who over time grew interested in the concept of cheat development and cheat making and using cheats. No matter your stance on it, it's a curiosity that virtually everybody has had. How is this thing possible? How is that done? How is that not detected? I started off using whatever the hell I could get my hands on, and over time I started looking more into the coding aspect of it. But of course, because I never went to school for any of this stuff, a lot of what I pumped out was just meme code, including, and this is what most people who know my past know about, a mini passion project of sorts, which in reality was mostly just copy and pasted code that I would change around for fun. This is not something that I have hidden at any point, but it kept being brought up along with accusations that all my GitHub account had was Python scripts that would not run. My GitHub account is private and has nothing in Python in it. I stopped making YouTube videos on cheats for a while, and then not that long afterwards, I also stopped touching code. I had other mini projects that weren't as cringe as what people know me for was, but put simply, they never saw the light of day. I did intend to come back, this time with a little bit more of a proper project, but safe to say the passion just wasn't there. I just felt like I needed to clarify that for the sake of transparency, and so you don't get psyoped by the people who just want to pull up a random GitHub account that nobody will fucking show me in an effort to discredit every argument that I am about to put forth. Okay, so Enclave Emily from the future here, I need to interject for a moment because I just found out one thing. The intro is already long as is, but I need to get this out of the way. Turns out that GitHub account is someone else's from over 7 years ago, back when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing and was basically just pasting for fun, something I haven't exactly hidden from anybody. And the person who re-uploaded it was, ironically enough, someone who sold copy-pasted cheats, so, you know. They also claimed to be a pro coder and allegedly infected one of their loaders. Just know that if you talk shit about those Python scripts, you're not talking shit about me, you're talking about this jackass. Anyway, just wanted to set the record straight. Anyway, back to the video. So with all of that out of the way, let's get back to Riley. Given that the conversation surrounding Riley is largely predicated on many not knowing what the hell a cheat even does, and claims that Riley's accusers just don't know what they're talking about because they're not a part of the... I'll get to that. What I'm going to do first is get us all on the same page. I'm going to explain basic terms related to cheating. I'm going to explain some cheat features and give you a simplified idea of what they do. I'm not going to go super in-depth because contrary to what a lot of people would like you to believe, that is not necessary, nor is it actually what a lot of people want. Then we're gonna analyze Riley's clips in depth, and following that, we are going to talk a little bit about the context surrounding this entire ordeal, including information that a lot of people mysteriously missed, arguments for and against Riley that do virtually nothing except divert the conversation from what it originally was, and serve absolutely fucking nobody except the people who just want to get off on temporary clout. And not to poison the well here, but that's insane degrees of foreshadowing right there. I've included timestamps so you can move to whichever section interests you the most. Just keep in mind there is a chance you might not recognize some of the terms I use later on. Let's start off with two terms that we need to keep in mind, internal and external. Starting with the latter, because it's what I included in my original post, an external is a cheat that works outside the game. It reads the game's memory and can write in its own. For example, you would have a function checking to see if your crosshair is hovering over an enemy, and if it is, write in memory in which an attack command is set, achieving, in this case, a trigger bot. It doesn't necessarily have to be like this, but the point is that an external works outside the game and usually does not have the range of features that an internal has. I mean, you can get close, but at that point, you're begging to get banned. I know it's possible to hook externally, I'm just not going there here, just to clarify. And internal, as the name implies, is a cheat that works inside the game. Whereas an external runs outside the game's memory space, an internal runs inside the game's memory space and can use in-game functions. In case you need a visual example, I don't think Mirage in CS2 looks like this normally. And I may not have played CS for a couple of months, but I don't think player models normally look like this. In summary, an external works outside the game and is more limited in terms of features, and an internal injects directly into the game and is less limited in terms of features. Two more terms you need to understand, so I'm not speaking gibberish to you, are rage hacking and legit hacking, or raging and legit cheating, if you will. Rage hacking is exactly what you would imagine if I said the term blatant cheater. This can take a little bit of a different shape depending on which game you're thinking about, but the principle is the same. Just look at the screen right now if you want to get a little bit of an idea. When you have an aimbot dedicated to rage hacking, you can refer to it as a rage bot. This isn't a universal practice, I just want to inform you. On the flip side, a legit cheater, yes, that's the term, is someone who is cheating but trying to look legit. Personally, I draw a little bit of a distinction between a closet cheater and a legit cheater because a closet cheater wants absolutely nobody to know that they're cheating, and a legit cheater doesn't really care that much, they just don't want to get banned. When you have an aimbot dedicated to legit cheating, you may call it a legit bot. There are a lot of reasons as to why somebody would legit cheat or rage hack. Contrary to popular belief, and no, I'm not saying I don't suck at games, someone who cheats does not necessarily do it because they suck at games. It can be, just off the top of my head now, I didn't actually write anything in the script for this bit, because they're frustrated with the matchmaking. Maybe they keep de-ranking because the matchmaking is absolutely terrible and puts them against pros while their team is terrible. Other times it can be because they're going up against cheaters. Maybe they want to use some of the miscellaneous features that come with cheats. For example, in CS, think a skin changer or world modulation. Maybe they want to try it for a few games for the sake of curiosity, or, and this is the most important one of all, for the sake of clout. I'm gonna use CSGO as an example because it's the easiest to use to explain this, but around 2015 to 2016, one thing that started happening a lot is that YouTubers started recording themselves legit cheating and trying to get as high of a rank as possible without being banned by the Overwatch system in that game. The Overwatch system in that game is basically, if you get reported too many times, your demo gets anonymously sent to be manually reviewed by other players so they can decide whether you're cheating or not. It was a legitimate thrill. It's difficult to explain and a lot of people will scoff at that, but it was legitimately a thrill to do it in matchmaking, knowing that eventually somebody would look at you and running the risk of being banned at any point. The trend still continues to this day, but in a much smaller scale. With the advent of streaming services, and most importantly, stream-proof ESP, that's cheat visuals that show up on your screen but not if you do game capture on OBS, and the evolution of legit bots, a lot of people started streaming themselves cheating to either A, see how long it would take before they would get banned from, say, Twitch, or to get clips and temporarily make themselves look like they were better than what they actually are. I say all of this not only because it's going to come back later, but if we want to actually have a discussion on cheats and why people cheat, we need to kill this stupid idea that people only cheat because they suck, because that makes legitimate cheaters go under the radar so long as they can show themselves to be good. Answer a question for me. What does aimbot look like? Does it look like this? Or like this? I ask that question because I keep seeing people straight up inventing things about cheats. From claims of there being an inability to configure cheats, which is a little bit weird to me since that's like 75% of the reason why you fucking use them, to people claiming something can't be an aimbot because the player overflicked. People claiming that cheats just regularly target dead players. Think of how stupid that sounds when you say it out loud. Cheats targeting dead players. And a legitimate debate on actual cheat functions, such as visibility checks, will get there, being drowned out by, Of course. We'll get there. So let's set the stage here and explain what some cheat features do, and give an example of each so we can all be on the same page. Let's start off with the obvious, aimbot. Aimbot is the program aiming on your behalf. A lot of people think that an aimbot has to look like this that you're seeing on screen, but that is not the case. Most cheats will allow you to configure it to some degree, so you can hide it to the best of your ability. Remember how I mentioned legit bots? Yeah, I'm gonna start using that term now. A legit bot does not have to be always on. You can have a legit bot only turn on key. If we set the key to mouse 3, you know, the button on the scroll wheel on your mouse, then if an enemy is within range, the legit bot will target said enemy. If you're holding the key, that is. If a target is not within range, or we're not holding down the key, then the aimbot will not target it. I did just mention range. I don't mean how many meters an enemy is from you. That can be a factor depending on the game, but what I mean, and this ties into my original post, is the FOV, aka field of view. If the distance from the target point or player is less than the limit, aka whatever your FOV is set to, the aimbot will target it. Otherwise, it will not. Think of it like a circle around your crosshair. If a target is within that circle, the aimbot will aim at that target. If it isn't, the aimbot will not aim at it. Having limited FOV is basically a requirement if you want to hide the fact that you're cheating, because if it's too high, you give a greater window of opportunity to anybody watching you to see if your aim is natural or not. All that I just described for the user is something that's very easy to manage, because you can just set it to whatever feels most comfortable to you. You know what's also easy to manage? This concept in your head if you're making a cheat. There seems to be this belief that what I just described to you is some sort of rocket science, or at least takes a while to figure out. Like an enigma that you need to crack. But no, fact of the matter is that it's virtually the same across engines and cheat types, internal and external. To back up that claim and not talk out of my ass unlike certain Indians with an AI voice, I pulled up 5 random public cheat sources from the internet and added comments so you can follow along and see for yourself. No hate to anyone except Mr. PhD, but this isn't really that difficult at all. To put it as simply as possible, this is something that takes virtually no time at all, and it is wrong on a factual level to portray it as anything other than this. If you are a cheat provider and have made a cheat before, then this is the sort of thing you may as well copy and paste, because it'll work with virtually no changes being needed. Moving on, we have 2 simpler ones that you need to know, and they are target selection and aim priority. By target selection, I do not mean picking which player you want to target first. I mean which hitboxes or bones, if you want to be more technical, you want to target. A lot of games, for example Rainbow Six Siege, will simply ban you if your stats are too abnormal. If you're just hitting headshots, for example, there's probably something very wrong with you there. I know it goes deeper than that, but just hold on for a second. Let's say you want to tell the legit bot to not target the legs and to just focus on the chest and head. Then the legit bot will only target the chest and the head and won't even consider the rest. But in case you don't want to risk your headshot percentage being way too high, you will set the priority hitbox, if you will, to chest, for example. In effect, telling the cheat to prefer the chest instead of the head if both targets are available. The next one is smoothness. Now, smoothness is exactly what it sounds like. Snapping to enemies is a very obvious thing, so you will have smoothness on a legit bot to make the aim seem smoother and more natural. There are many layers to this, for example, easing in and out so you don't have ruin your speed. And one thing about smoothness, especially combined with limited FOV, is that it allows you to overflick and then mimic the action that would be basically adjusting for said overflick. You can see me doing it here in the footage that you're seeing on screen, just in case you need a visual indication of what it might look like. The next one we have is aim delay, and yes, it does exactly what it sounds like it does. If you are, for example, holding a trigger bot on a tight corner, outside of lucky guesses of when you think an enemy will peek, you are not reacting in the first frame the enemy is on your crosshair. Especially if that first frame is the very first frame where the enemy became visible. All of this if you're legit, of course. The same applies to the aimbot, and what this feature basically does is it adds a little bit of a delay in milliseconds to mimic a human reaction. If you are not using this to some degree, then you either are very familiar with the cheat in question that you're using, or you're a moron. And now, don't worry, it's almost over. We get to the big one that a lot of people have been scratching their heads about, the visibility check.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall.
I'm not going to go into this clip just yet, just know that there was someone else that a lot of people who analyzed this clip forgot to count. You can see the ragdoll over there, by the way. I want you to consider this explanation for this clip by Lincoln Margison Game Development. I'll have their channel in the description. Related to the visibility check.
So aimbots tend to check if something is visible before aiming at it. It helps things to look more legitimate, and it avoids wasting time aiming at targets that aren't available. In its simplest form, it just draws a line between the player's camera and the target, and if that path is blocked, it won't consider that as a potential target to aim at. But this is a specific feature that needs adding in, so let's just assume that this cheat didn't have that feature at all, or she decided to turn it off because she wanted to go for more clips.
So I have no problem with Lincoln Margison, this is a fucking good channel, but the problem is that this is only half of the story. What they just described is an internal visibility check. Invisibility checks on externals, at least traditional externals that don't hook into the game, are typically not as reliable. It is possible to mimic an internal visibility check without hooking into the game, but I'll explain that in a moment. There's multiple ways to do one, for example checking to see if the enemy is spotted or not, but the problem with that method is that it's rather slow. You can see a demonstration here as to how this would look like in CS, and I imagine it's very similar for Battlefield because you don't want the game to mark an enemy whenever they are visible instantaneously, since that's almost cheating. I am just guessing here, and it may be completely wrong, but I would imagine that Battlefield doesn't want to give people an immediate hint that someone is on the screen. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. The second method I want to mention here of doing a visibility check externally, and yes, I had to look this up because I've never actually done it before, or even considered it, is by parsing map files. Now, the map file will contain information on shit like the walls, the objects, and so on, taking the user's point on the map and then checking to see what is visible from that point of view, calculating the direction between the local player and the target. Think of it like a line, if you will. While this is accurate, it posits a little bit of a problem if you want to do this in Battlefield. You have to break up that line into small steps to make sure that you're actually hitting something, and the problem with that is that if you break up that line into too many small steps, or you don't cap the distance, then you're gonna run into some very serious performance problems. In fact, here's an artist's representation of what your FPS is gonna do. This is a little bit of a problem in Battlefield because for one, the maps are absolutely massive, and Battlefield is full of destructible objects such as houses and shit. Fuck up once in any way and the results are going to be unreliable. Or, you know, make your 5090 feel like a calculator. I'll be honest, if I was making a cheat for Battlefield, I would just ignore this method entirely. Last feature we have to look over today is, well, prepare to laugh at me. RCS reduction. Now, quick question. What is RCS reduction? Don't worry if you don't know, 'cause I don't fucking know either. Yeah, I must have been tweaking when I wrote this. No, I meant just RCS, which stands for Recoil Control System. Control the recoil by a certain amount. If you have it at 0, then the cheat will not try to help you control the recoil, and if you have it at 100%, it will be really blatant. One of the most important parts of figuring out whether someone is cheating or not is to analyze things within context instead of limiting yourself to 1 or 2 clips. A sad reality is that a lot of people will simply call cheats on something if that something is different from how they play. I was given a reminder of this when someone, no offense to them, came to me claiming to be able to identify cheats and having found cheats, and yet most of the people they showed me showed no indication of cheating at all, including an accusation of me cheating in one of the clips I got when playing the finals. It's this one that you're seeing right now, just in case you're curious. So once again, Riley is an aim trainer who has spent years streaming to 4 people, apparently. But evidently this did not dissuade her, as we still see that she put out some highlight videos of her playing Battlefield 5 before going into the Battlefield 6 beta. Let's watch the clips so we can see for ourselves how Riley plays. I'll put a crosshair on the screen. Let's rewatch some of those kills again, really slowed down so we can see them frame by frame. Now here's some clips of her playing Battlefield 2042. Once again, let's slow them down and go frame by frame so we can take a closer look. We can see that she relies on flicks when switching targets, but despite having hundreds of hours in the game, still relies primarily on visual indication that the enemy is dead so she can switch targets. But a special cookie to you if you notice that the Battlefield 5 clips had kills that were way too fast, and that is because Riley plays on 200% damage servers. Therefore, despite the fact that she plays Battlefield 2042 a lot, she still relies primarily on the visual indicator to know that an enemy is dead. In other words, she makes it harder for herself to memorize the time to kill. Now we have a feel for how she plays and how she aims, and if you called cheats on any of those clips, I would like you to go back and rewatch them because seriously, what is wrong with you? The Battlefield 6 beta came out in August, and we can see that on day 1 of the beta, her skill absolutely tanks.
Spray patterns?
Spread? Like, hello? Am I playing Battlefield 4?
Got a 2 TS. Wow.
Wow.
I almost got a 2 TS and then I got fucking shot in the head.
Man, I'm out of ammo. What? My ammo's not being refilled by the ammo box. Okay, so
Yo, res me right now.
Sorry, my ammo's not being refilled by the ammo box.
Yeah. I did hear something along those lines. Oh, okay, yeah, no, we were just sniping on a hill. Yo, your res takes forever.
Yeah, I'm not a medic.
How do I aim? I don't know.
Why are you not a medic?
I'm an assault, bitch.
What is wrong with you?
I kill you. I ran out of ammo again.
There's just snipers
I don't
everywhere.
get ammo.
The arms wide open.
There better not be a tank out here.
Oh my god, we're looking there. We have AIDS.
What are you saying?
I gotta fucking start. Yeah. Okay. There's a shotgunner holding this.
Hey, I see oomph in our game.
Oomph?
Yeah.
Help!
I just got a 3 TS. Care man.
Oh my god.
Was it a good one?
I don't know. I can't tell what's happening. My CPU isn't at 100% and it's boosting fine, but my GPU is only at like 30% usage. What? I may know the issue then. Coil bug,
Oh, it
right?
100% does. It 1000% does.
I have no idea.
Like, it just does
Oh
not feel
my
right
God.
at all.
I'm not using that again.
I changed my mouse's polling rate to 1K, and I was like, surely that's the problem. It wasn't. I'm just like staring at my FPS counter, and I'm wishing.
Just pretend it's not even there.
I can't, bro. I can feel it.
I mean, you're a fucking COD Battlefield player. You should be used to disappointment by now.
Dude, I get 300 FPS in those games. Ultra.
Oh, I'm testing something. I'm testing something. I'm testing something.
Initially, she blamed FPS, and of course, she can't play below 200 FPS, except if you remember the earlier clips, she was playing at below 200 FPS, in fact, at FPS very similar to that which she had in the Battlefield 5 clips. Because as we all know, 110 FPS is simply unplayable, and I am reliably informed by die-hard Riley defenders that 200 FPS is not what she's used to, and that you simply can't play with it.
I'm capping my FPS at like 144.
Okay, never mind then. She likes 144. Okay, so now that she's at a frame rate she likes, let's see how she plays.
FPS plus on the same map depending on lobby.
Nice. Play the game, that's all that matters. I'm play the game, the stream's not lagging, I think.
You're fine to me.
I've been having a lot of tech issues with the game, and they finally seem fixed. And it didn't do anything different.
We can feel her demotivation in her voice. She tries to rely on her gameplay style of fast flicks to switch between targets, but we can see she's over-flicking and under-flicking constantly, not being able to adjust. And if it weren't for the flicks, you wouldn't be blamed if you assume that this is someone that is simply average. And I'm gonna be controversial here, but I think that her excuse that the FPS was simply unplayable was just pure copium on her part. As we already know, Not yet. The people she surrounds herself with belong to a community that foments attempts to constantly increase the wow factor. And Riley, no offense, and this time not sarcasm, is simply addicted to the dopamine of constantly being able to pump out impressive moments. And Riley is so deep into this that despite her FPS not being that below what she used to play at not very long ago, it is enough to completely destroy her aim and her mood. And even has a low opinion of the game. She does not like how the guns feel, she does not like the recoil, she does not like the sway, the damage is not as she wants it to be, and she seems to be completely incapable of adjusting. But maybe it was just a bad day. Let's move on to clips from day 2 of the beta. Moving on to day 2, we can see that Riley has fixed the FPS problems. Now, I'm gonna go through the highlight clips first, and then go to ones that weren't in highlight reels.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall. Oopsie. How are you getting 240 FPS? Good computer. How much of this game have you played, though? Hey, teammate. Whoa!
Okay, let's go through this one at a time. For starters, the rock clip. I have a very big problem with the rock clip, and it's not for the reason you think. If we want to actually have a debate on whether something is cheating or not, we simply cannot call cheats on everything we see. So allow me first to play that clip in context with a crosshair on the screen to help you out.
Wow, I flicked straight at that guy through the wall. Oopsie.
This clip was 6 minutes into the second day August 8th livestream, and we see that in the first kill, at first she struggles to track the enemy, but then goes frame perfect. On its own, this is nothing, but the thing I find strange about this kill is how you can see frame perfect tracking, and yet before the red X shows up, and after the initial first few shots, you can see that the tracking is so perfect, it's as if it's in the center bone of the lower body, like the stomach or whatever. If you were paying attention, you probably also noticed that Riley is suffering from packet loss during this kill, and in fact, most of the kills you're going to see from the popular clips, she's suffering from packet loss, you just don't notice it. And it's a little bit weird that she's able to control it to perfection, and then you can see the tracking stop being perfect in the exact frame that the enemy dies. And don't worry, you're not the only one questioning where the recoil went, considering that 5 minutes before this clip, not even kidding, her shooting with this exact gun looked like this.
Gay, so like that just got nothing going for me. It's honestly shameless.
And now it looks like this. Again, on its own, this is nothing, but I felt the need to point it out. She then runs up the rock, and we can see that she gets a kill on another guy. A little bit of a micro adjustment, no problems there. And then she does a flick towards the rock. If you've been paying attention so far, you'll know that Riley likes to flick a lot after the initial kill. In fact, this is a schizo move that you basically have to do if you want to be a part of the... We're almost there. But yes, she does a gamble flick to the rock, and we can see that she lingers for a second before adjusting and realizing that she was aiming at a wall. There's a couple of arguments as to why this is cheating. I am not going to include the flicks, because if you honestly think that the flicks are the problem, you're an idiot, or watching the video on your phone. But they are basically this. Riley flicked to behind a rock and lingered because she saw someone on the ESP, which can be stream-proof, remember? And the aimbot locked to someone behind the wall. The arguments against this being cheating are basically, it was just a gamble flick, which is an amazing fucking way to divert from the point of the conversation, and that she used the minimap in order to justify the gamble flick, and that she didn't land on anybody, so it's obviously not an aimbot, and if it was an aimbot, aimbots have visibility checks, so you can't use this. I already explained why a visibility check is not actually that prevalent in Battlefield unless you're using an internal cheat, because if you're using an external, be it on a DMA card or not, that's what they call hardware cheats, a proper, fast, and reliable visibility check is not reliable in Battlefield. As such, any visibility check that is there will have to be limited based on the player, and it will not be a fast one. The best option to cheat and stream yourself cheating when it comes to Battlefield 6 would be an external of some kind, probably a DMA cheat. So, if we assume that this is cheating, it is highly likely that Riley is not using a visibility check at all, or if she is, the only person that is spotted, aka on the minimap, is not where she landed. What a lot of people in this conversation, including favorite man baby Enders, who had access to Riley's raw footage of the stream somehow, they forgot to mention that there was another person who had just recently died, and they are right there on the screen, as you see. In fact, if you play this segment frame by frame, you can see the ragdoll still moving, which means they were taken out by somebody else. And another YouTuber even realized that where the guy died, or at least where the ragdoll was, lines up almost to perfection with where Riley was aiming, if not downright to perfection. There's also the fact that when Riley adjusts her view, we can see that, had this rock not been the shape that it was, she probably would have been lining up with that guy that you see over there. So case closed, right? This clip is cheating. Well, no. You see, I can't draw any conclusions on whether it's cheating or not from this clip, and you know what? I have to, if I want to be objective and fair, default to this clip not being cheating for one very specific reason. Well, two, actually. One, Riley likes to flick a lot, so flicks like this aren't uncommon, but the reason I cannot call cheats on this clip, even if Riley did land perfectly on the head of whoever it was that was behind the rock, is because, and I can't believe I have to point this out, but guys, the objective is right there. This is an 8v8 game mode on a map that has reduced size, and the objectives are also really tiny. Of fucking course she might accidentally just land on somebody through a wall and not even know it. Even if there had been absolutely nobody on the minimap while Riley was still taking out the second guy, it is still perfectly justifiable to flick to the left because that's where the objective is. And given how that objective, C, is very small, the chances of landing on somebody through the wall are astronomically high. And that point is proven because when Riley moves out of the way of the rock, we can see a bunch of players right there, both ragdolls and not. If you believe the clip on the rock is cheating, fair enough to you, I guess. Maybe you have better eyes than I do. But the flick and the fact that the crosshair landed on somebody or might have landed on somebody is a non-point. Now, because I got sick when recording to this next segment, you can still hear me sick a little bit. I decided to rapid fire over some of the clips in the first highlight video, because you've probably already seen them 20 times over, and honestly, if we go frame by frame together, you might start to see why some people still have doubts about whether Riley is legit or not to this day. Let's go frame by frame and let's do it live, shall we? Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I got this straight. Alright. So, she gets in the room, right? The mouse is on a leftwards trajectory, moves up, then like, kinda like, flows left and then right. Moves to the exact center of where the bone would be, which, you know, rotates perfectly in line with the enemy. Wait. And then as soon as there's a hit marker, it's like she forgot how to use a mouse. And then it takes a bunch of, like, a lot for her to notice that she's basically stopped aiming. So, this is someone with insane reaction time. And yet, we have this. Rotates perfectly in line with the enemy. I'm not sure what that little circle is. And then as soon as there's a hit marker, it's like she forgot how to use a mouse. Flicks to this guy. Overflicks. Reacts to the fact that she's overflicked in a single frame, which I guess she already expected to overflick. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Future me. Oh, future me, you're gonna hate me. Then gets exactly to the fucking where the bone for the pelvis would be. And then as soon as there's a hit marker, it's like she forgot how to aim. What is a mouse? She tracks the rotation perfectly for like 3 frames. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. Well, I'm not counting the first one. 4 to 5 frames. There's a hit marker. She forgets how to aim, or how to even work with a mouse, and the aim just drifts off. Flicks. It would be a shame if somebody were to put the clip of what smoothness looks like in using CS2 on the screen right now. Or maybe she just expected to overflick, I guess. You could say she just expected to overflick. But then, like, stays perfectly on the bone after her crosshair jumps, like a roughly equal distance for a couple of frames. It's like there's an intense pull towards the center here. Looks like a lock, like, I'm not judging yet based off of this. Like, on its own, it's nothing. But, like, it looks like a lock, and then you see the hit marker, and she forgets how to aim. On its own, this is nothing, but, you know. Okay, it's the clip that made me originally make my Twitter post. Alright. So, like, even if you're just watching this on the phone, it looks like something's wrong here, doesn't it? Like, it just looks like there's something wrong, doesn't it? So, she goes into the room, sees a guy running at her, shoots this KSF guy, tries to track, gives up, tries to track again, gives up again, then tries to track again, jumps an equal speed, like, every frame, stops. You can see she's stopping. And she does, right here. Like, you can see the slowdown of the mouse movement there, right? And then, like, right afterwards, it's like something just pulls her dead center of this guy. Just pulls her dead fucking center. And then the second there's a hit marker, aim just completely drifts off. So she managed to find the discipline to slow down for... Yeah, you see that small pull? Like that little micro adjustment? She finds the discipline to slow down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. On the 7th frame, speeds up again, goes elsewhere. How many frames is that? Red X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and she's adjusting on the 7th. You know, she reacted to the fact that she killed this guy in 6 fucking frames. What's 6 frames at 60 FPS? How many milliseconds is that? Put that on screen. Next to the fastest reaction time ever recorded by a human being. Okay, so you see how the inconsistency in her mouse movement speed? So look up here where the chandelier is, right? I think that's a chandelier. Is that the word? Whatever. I'm going backwards. Look at where the chandelier is. She starts adjusting right here. So you can see it starts to speed up, right? This is where the chandelier is. Jumps this insane distance, so you'd expect something similar in the frame right after. But then like, it's like her mouse slowed down. And then in the next frame, she's here. That is some inconsistent ass speed. Alright. So she kills this guy. Clicks to this guy. Let me fucking guess. The second a hit marker shows up, her aim is just gonna drift off to wherever the fuck. Is it when she shoots? Yeah, look. She shoots. And her aim just drifts. And then she just wobbles all over the place. Just wobbles. And doesn't even kill the guy, but she included it in the clip to trick some idiots. I guess. I'm kidding, of course. Okay, buddy. She kills this guy. All in all, it's fair. And then... Look at this aim trainer extraordinaire right here. Look at this. Moving her mouse to the right. Oh no, to the left actually. Oh no, to the right actually. Now let's do a more to the right, and then does a question mark. Like, actually does a fucking question mark with her mouse movement. Wee, what the fuck happened to your mouse, Riley? Like, what? What is this? Goes to this guy, still misses, goes up, then back down, figures out the adjustment, like you can see she's figured out how to trace. Tracking him pretty well. Then the second the bullet leaves the mag, the aim just goes elsewhere, I guess? Shoots in front of him and kills him somehow? Not sure how that works. Then, under pressure, Riley just fucking, like, shoots at the side of the bus. This must be what Viscos told me. I saw a video by Viscos telling me how to make my clips look like aimbot without cheating. And this is what, I bet this is what Viscos said. Right? This is one of Viscos' lessons. Block yourself off from the guy that you're shooting at. And do literally nothing about the guy that sees you. Peeks out, right? Kills him. 1, 2, 3. And she's adjusting. I don't care how much you... Look, I cannot call cheats just based off of this. But, you know, I don't care how much you train your aim, how many hours you have in Kovacs. It has been 1, 2, 3 frames since you killed this guy, and you're adjusting on the 4th. Now, I can't believe I have to explain this, right? And other people already have, but I'm gonna say it here as well, because apparently it's fallen on deaf ears. But you need to process that, you've killed a guy, and 1, 2, 3 frames at 60 FPS is 48 ms, 48 milliseconds, and if I'm not mistaken, the fastest reaction time ever recorded was 100 ms, or 101. So, unless she memorized the time to kill, on a gun she doesn't even use regularly, because she only shows up with this gun, like, twice in the clips, and doesn't even use it very frequently during the live streams. So yeah, unless she memorized the time to kill of this gun, yeah. This is literally impossible. I mean, maybe she gambled? This was either luck, or it's dynamic FOV, and after 3 frames she started adjusting. Then we can see she jumps this insane distance, over flicks this much, stops for 1 frame, so you can very clearly see she's realized something's up, and then immediately back on track. And of course, after the first hit marker, she just relies completely on the movement until this point. Alright, so what we have here is wobbly as fuck aim that just gets even worse, like, right after she starts shooting. Blocks herself off from the enemy she's shooting at, like the professional aim trainer she is, and then reacts to the fact she killed a guy in 3 frames when she very rarely even does this in the game she plays the most, which is Battlefield 2042. Of the Battlefield franchise, of course. Like, I get that you're not always going to react at exactly the same time. That's fine. But she is literally reacting at less than half of the fastest reaction time ever recorded by a human. And yet, in mere instances, she goes from reacting in 48 milliseconds to the fact she killed a guy, to spending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 frames shooting at the floor before realizing she is, you know, shooting at the floor. And actually adjusting to the guy. There's a little bit of a weird curve here. What happened there? She spends all this time shooting at the floor. Does this little weird-ass curve. Hits. And then just as she hits, her aim floats off. Despite the fact that there is, like, this big bright thing on the screen, she doesn't even realize that she's not hitting the guy. The same person who can react within 48 milliseconds to a guy dying cannot see that she is shooting way off to the side of her target, even when there's a giant indicator. And it takes her forever to adjust and actually kill, and then she flicks back to the first guy she was fighting. I get if people don't want to call cheats. I'm trying to be objective here and not call cheats unless I'm, like, basically sure of it. And, you know, I have to be objective. I can't just be subjective and say, well, I think it, therefore it's what it is. But, if you're one of the people, like, defending Riley and saying that her accusers are just, like, bad players, maybe some of the accusers are, but to deny that there is reason to think that, you know, this is just slightly bizarre. You know, going from doing this in 48 milliseconds to shooting at the fucking floor for, like, above the average human reaction time, and then doing this little curve. Yeah, if you're denying the fact that some of Riley's accusers may at least have legitimate concerns, you're part of the problem. I just hope you know that. This fucking clip, like, lives in my dreams, and not for a good reason. Wobbles back and forth, kills this guy, which is fine. Like, I guess I could just say that this is, like, bad because of the stream. And then this happens, where she walks up to the rooftop with all of these people, and like, you can see exactly when there's, like, a sudden shift in the aim. Lasers this dude. Perfect. Absolute perfection on the center mass. Which, the guy isn't moving, but, so, it's fine. But you can see the crosshair is, like, you know, perfect on the guy. Maybe drifting ever so slightly upwards. I'll put a crosshair on the screen. Like, it looks like there's, like, a little bit of momentum that's supposed to be going upwards. It's very faint. I don't know if you can see it. But then the red X shows up in one frame. I don't know if it's here because I can see a little bit of red here, but not here. But the red X shows up, meaning that this guy is dead. This guy is dead, right? And within one frame, she's already moving down. As a reminder, her crosshair was drifting ever so slightly upwards this whole time. It was drifting very, very subtly upwards. And then the very frame this guy dies, it starts moving down, and she's already adjusting, which, fantastic work, you know? You're at high ping, you're suffering from packet loss, your crosshair is moving up, and in one frame, you're adjusting downwards, right? Already adjusting downwards. It's very subtle. I don't know if you can tell it. Like, let me... You see that? Like, already moves down. Goes down here to this guy, which I can barely see. But gets a hit marker. You can see the crosshair is drifting ever so slightly downwards, right? And then in the very frame that the kill marker shows up, oh, now the crosshair is drifting back up. Crosshair drifting downwards. And then the next frame, right after the kill marker shows up, it's back to going upwards. Very subtle, but, you know. You get the little panic. She jumps up on the roof. Gets this. I think she's targeting this guy back here, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, gets the hit marker. So she relies solely on the movement. You can see there was a little adjustment here. For how many frames was that adjustment? 1, 2. 2 frame adjustment, alright. And then after those 2 frames, stops for 1 frame, moves the crosshair back up, flicks to the side to this guy, and then has a bit of a tard moment. I was gonna save this clip for later, but this clip keeps, like, popping up in my fucking mind, and I am getting so fucking sick of people, like, pretending this doesn't exist. What do you even say? What do you even fucking say about this clip? I wonder why she deleted the live streams early. Like, again, I'm not going to call cheats just based off of this and the few clips we've seen already. But this just puts egg on the face of every fucking idiot that says that everyone criticizing Riley is just a controller player. Because this just looks wrong. This just looks fucking wrong. Like, let me play it at normal speed. Like, that just looks wrong. Hitting center mass, crosshair drifting ever so slightly upwards. As soon as the red X shows up, in 1/10 of the fastest reaction time ever recorded, she's already adjusting, moves down. Crosshair is clearly clearly on a downwards trajectory, kills the guy, and again, in 1 frame, or 2 frames, sorry, the crosshair's already back on an upwards trajectory, and has this absolute tard moment, because, you know, remember, professional aim trainer, aiming for the legs, and takes, like, fucking forever to realize that she's aiming for the legs, which, you know, a bit suboptimal, don't you think? Does a little arc flick, and then just has a tard moment. I get wanting to give her the benefit of the doubt, that's exactly what I'm doing, but if you say that the people who think that Riley is cheating are just bad players, are just a bunch of controller players, or just have some fucking hidden agenda, you are part of the fucking problem, and you are part of the reason why we can never actually have a discussion on aiming and cheating. You're part of the problem, yeah? I want to make something very clear here, and that is that none of this is outright impossible in any scenario. And the questioning of the things I did should not be taken as some sort of statement saying that you cannot be that good at a video game. While everyone does have their skill ceiling, it is absolutely possible to improve at something if you practice it enough. And now you're probably thinking, Enclave Emily, that is very obvious, that should be common sense, right? It is perfectly understandable, you might be thinking, to point to a chart such as this one that you're seeing right here, showing reaction times and finding something about this very wrong, while not denying that it is possible for someone to be good at a video game if they practice. I thought this would just be perfectly understandable to absolutely everybody, and I wouldn't even need to mention this until I saw Viscos's video, where she brings up the chart and says it was a displeasure to have to see it, and then just completely glazes over it and goes on to talk about things which are inherently obvious to someone playing a game. I don't have anything against Viscos, and I do not believe you should send any hate her way, but this video right here is the perfect encapsulation of why so many people have a problem with even the concept of aim trainers, and why it is so difficult to have a discussion on the concept of people being good versus people cheating. The link to the video is in the description, and by all means go and check it to make sure that I am not misrepresenting Viscos, but what happened in this video was basically chart bad because you can memorize the time to kill, and the subject of the conversation is someone who plays on servers where memorizing the normal time to kill is not exactly the easiest thing in the world.
I don't know if I'm the only person unlucky enough to have seen this chart demonstrating Riley's reaction time being inhuman, but what's being measured here isn't reaction time at all. To optimize your time to kill across multiple kills, you have to leave the target as quickly as possible. And the best way to do this is to have a mental note of how fast targets die and flick based on that.
Let's leave out that little detail though, because now we're gonna talk about not peeking literally everybody at the same time so you can manage your angles. Once again, I am not accusing Viscos of anything, and nor am I saying that you should send hate her way, please don't. But it is unhelpful to the conversation to not only dismiss half of the spreadsheet, but to also leave out that crucial detail of the conversation. Especially considering that the subject of the conversation, which is Riley, is someone who plays on servers where there's 200% damage for their clips. In other words, someone whose most impressive clips come from a game where the gunfights primarily end in like 2 bullets, being able to outdo themselves in Battlefield 6, a game that did not have 200% damage, is cause for at least some suspicion. And I'm sorry to keep repeating myself, it is really fucking useless to keep diverting from the point of the conversation or trying to come up with other things in order to shift the core of the conversation to your interests, and by proxy treat people with doubts like idiots that simply do not understand what the conversation is even about, and you're just above people who are less educated. Case in point, the fucking AIM community. I thought it was a joke when I first saw it, I really did, but I forgot that we live in a day and age where absolutely everything has a community, or at least has a so-called community. YouTuber The Zimbro, link in the description, put it best when he said that nowadays we just come up with communities for the most minute of things, and treat the subject that created said so-called community is just something that was recently discovered, like it's some sort of fucking new rocket science or whatever. Now, what's next? The fucking crouch community? Yeah, did you know you can crouch in video games? Did you know you can go prone in video games? You probably didn't know that. No, you silly goober, I just discovered the concept of crouching in a video game, and let me educate you on how that works. You wouldn't understand the concept of crouching, after all, you're just playing on a VR headset with no controller, so I'm educated, you're not, and if you think this is retarded, did you know that you can do do micro-positioning? Don't worry, let me make a 15-minute long video completely dodging the subject of the conversation. You see how unhelpful this is? This could have just been a conversation where somebody mentioned, hey, yeah, this person is an aim trainer. They train their aim in video games, and that could have been it. And we could have actually had a normal discussion on whether something is cheating or not and debated amongst each other. But no. Every attempt to do so just gets psyoped into, you just think flicks are impossible or some stupid shit. Like, yes, we know that aiming is possible in video games. We know that tracking enemies in video games is possible. Next question, please. You're not a rocket scientist, you're just someone trying to justify thousands of hours in Kovacs. But I have an even bigger problem with the concept of an aim community, because unlike other communities, say surrounding video games, movies, franchises, a community surrounding aiming in a video game is incredibly one note. Let's take a community surrounding being fans of a video game. Let's say Fallout New Vegas, since that's one of the favorite games of this channel. In it, you can discuss, for example, the story, the gameplay, the bugs, the development cycle, the mods, the music, the art style, and you can have countless conversations on these things, and if you want to make content related to Fallout New Vegas, you can pick any of them and it will work. Someone who stands out in a Fallout New Vegas fan community, if you will, can do so by discussing the story and stand out on equal terms to someone who, for example, discusses the art style. Quick question, do you think this applies to the AIM community? Actually, even better question, how do you stand out in the AIM community? How do you even participate in the activities of the AIM community? I know, check this out, it's gonna be really complex, right? You gotta stand back away from your microphone, you gotta really listen and pay attention to this. You move your mouse. That's it. If you want to be a part of something within this community, all you have to do is move your mouse. But of course, if you are not good at moving your mouse, you are not going to stand out. Or maybe you just hit your personal skill ceiling after hundreds if not thousands of hours of training your aim, and you do not get the spotlight or recognition that other people who move their mouse do. If you guess that this is the recipe for a community that is far more likely than average to attract cheaters, then congratulations, you're correct. Humans, and I actually have to say this, oh my fuck. Humans are social creatures that desire to be a part of something. And if succeeding in being a part of that something is just getting a few clips for people to goon at, then it is highly likely that you are going to attract people who want to take the easy way, dedicate thousands of hours they do not have into something that they only have a passive interest in, or buy a 2-week sub for a software they found online, get a few clips, and then get the praise they so desperately seek. Riley was inspired to improve her aim by 3 people, and 2 of them turned out to be cheating. Team EXE, which Riley belongs to, has had scandals with cheaters in the past. The AIM community has members which go out of their way to cheat in Kovacs of all fucking things. And the Raw Input Steam group has a ratio of 20 times above average of members who were banned for cheating. Don't let the Google Docs application deceive you. Yes, you have to apply on Google Docs to join the Raw Input community or group or whatever the fuck. To be a part of this, not only are you expected to pump out clips, but also have absolutely zero history of cheating, and they take cheating accusations and cheating history very seriously. Anyway, here's a guy who got banned 8 days ago in their group. Actually, fuck it, here's a bunch of them. For a community that is apparently so unwilling to tolerate the act of cheating, you sure do have a lot of people with a history of cheating recently in the group. And even if all of these people do get removed from the community, the point still remains that this is something that is inherently going to attract cheaters. And it honestly drives me up a fucking wall, the fact that we can't even mention this because we're just going to be called uneducated plebs. You know, as one does when they want to be transparent and understanding. But then we get to the fucking
searched, you know, her, like, from Enclave Emily and then the N-word, and there was a lot of results, surprisingly.
Oh no! Really? I could never have guessed.
Yeah, there were so many.
I'm starting to notice a trend here, you know. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't know.
I think we're just too woke.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the people mad about this are also racist.
Paying extra taxes
For this fucking There's being up your own ass, and then there's being so far up your own ass you saw the sun are back up your ass again. This may come as a bit of a surprise, but it is possible to say naughty words on the internet and simultaneously believe something else. Believe it or not, the people criticizing you for something may simply not have some secret agenda and might just want to criticize you for that something. I get that it must be really nice to paint over all your critics as evil people with secret agendas, and you might not realize how stupid it is to do this. Maybe you're just drunk on the caffeine and the bathtub estrogen. So let me spell it out for you when I say that this exact behavior is part of the reason why so many people don't even want to argue in good faith, because you, by doing this, are not arguing in good faith. Hey, look on this footage, this player is cheating, but the critics said naughty words a couple of times, therefore the criticism is just invalid. Do you see how stupid this sounds? How old are you people? And that's not even the worst of it, because then we get to the argument of, oh, but they're trans, therefore if they're cheating, you should ignore it because trans people have had trauma or some stupid shit. Behavior like this is exactly why so many people assume that trans people are all just a bunch of fucking snowflakes. Not every criticism of someone who happens to be trans comes from a place of bigotry, and not every action that a trans person takes has to be excused because of some fucking abstract concept of trauma. I really do wonder if I'm ever gonna be able to live in a world where I don't have to explain to new people every single fucking time that I'm not retarded just because of association with retardation like this. To address the Raw Input podcast, yes, maybe you are indeed too woke. Painting all your critics as a cabal of secret bad people just makes people assume the worst about you, and does absolutely no favors to people who happen to be trans who may just want to live their lives and not be assumed to be morons. I can't even blame the people who immediately jump to negative conclusions because the use of this card is so fucking disingenuous that it seems like you're hiding something. Oh, but it doesn't even end there. Let me go back to the you're a bigot card, because somehow, fucking somehow, a statement I made which is so fucking basic a 5-year-old could understand it was somehow twisted into transphobia. In case you don't know what that statement was, it was someone asking if cheating is legal now, and my response was that so long as you have an ooh avatar and claim to be trans, then yes, cheating is legal. This obviously being a reference to the fact that a lot of people were downplaying criticisms and suspicions of Riley and her bathtub hormone chugging fucking group by using the bigotry card. Fun fact, fun fucking fact, did you also know that it is literally a trend in the cheating community to do exactly this? I am not joking when I say that it is literally a trend in the cheating community, at least the Counter-Strike cheating community, to have a sad vibes girl profile in order to dodge accusations of cheating, or to make you more special looking as an individual to people who check out your profile. It is literally a trend to do exactly this in the cheating community, and somehow this was psyoped into some sort of fucking anti-trans debate. People will unironically behave like this and be surprised that a lot of people become transphobic. I don't understand how you don't see the problem here. So yes, I do have my suspicions related to this entire ordeal, and I also do say naughty words on the internet. You forgot the Giga Chat image. Here it is. Now that we got all of that sorted out, let's talk about some things that you may have missed during this entire ordeal. Or maybe you may have missed it because an Indian with an AI voice and a white paper reviewed by Grok mentioned them, and now you are hesitant to even consider these things. By now you are probably aware that Riley CS has multiple alt accounts. They admit to having one alternate Steam account, they admit to having 2 Valorant accounts, but claim to only have 1 account on EA. I am naturally suspicious of this because as someone who has seen way too much Riley content, I have basically memorized all her usernames, and I started to notice, on top of the fact that there are 2 Riley CSs in one of their lobbies, I still haven't been able to figure that one out. Like, why would you do that? I noticed that in relatively recent edits, there are multiple names which haven't been used by Riley in a very long time, meaning that a lot of Riley's edits are literally clips that are over a year old, which, you know, gives the false impression that your gameplay is more frequently like this than it actually is, or that there may be something else going on here, or that it's a mix of both. I saw in this edit of Riley that the username changes, and it got me wondering, why is Riley switching accounts so much? But then I considered the possibility that Riley may simply be changing the username on the same account. So going to Battlefield 4 DB, I checked Riley's account, and sure enough, multiple different usernames showed up, among them TTV Riley CS, Cop Waster, because you couldn't be any more of a fucking stereotype if you try, Cop Waster TTV, and ah, so that's the transition. But case closed then, you might be guessing. Riley is actually telling the truth about only having 1 account. I'm not so sure if I believe that, you see. Stick with me for a moment here. In one of her streams, she tried to open Battle.net, and the credentials were autofilled to somebody else. Riley herself claimed that this was not her Modern Warfare 3 account, which has me a little bit confused because I went to her Steam account, and I did not see anything related to Modern Warfare 3. It was allegedly just a friend's account, but then again, why would you be logging into a friend's account for fucking Modern Warfare 3, or any other game on Battle.net for that matter. This got me wondering if there were any other accounts that we were simply unaware of. And because Riley has a habit of deleting her Battlefield streams early, that is before the 14 days that Twitch gives you before they delete it are up, I decided to simply try to find an account that matched Riley's old names. I didn't have to look far because one mistake that a lot of people do, especially when they're creating Smurfs, is that at first they simply use old usernames that are easier to remember. And I came across an account on Battlefield 5 that absolutely reeks of being a fucking Smurf. Check this out. We can see by tracking Riley's main account that up until 4 months ago, her main account used to be called Cop Waster. Because of how the EA app works, nobody else was able to call themselves Cop Waster up until 4 months ago. Well, we can see that just short of 4 months ago, an account called Cop Waster mysteriously showed up not long after Riley changed her name on her main account, implying that either this is all one massive coincidence or Riley changed her name on her main and then created another account. Because I was only able to track the actual progress in Battlefield games and not when the account was created specifically, the timelines simply do not match up to perfection, but it is perfectly reasonable to conclude that this is Riley's Smurf account, especially because it only has 5 hours of playtime, and mysteriously appeared right after Riley changed her name on her main. Moreover, if we look at the stats, we can see that the stats are way too good for someone who legitimately just started playing. We can also see that none of the games that this account plays coincide with Riley actually playing Battlefield 5. This account also has absolutely no history on other Battlefield games. I was only able to track Battlefield 5, which tells me that either this is an insane coincidence and someone just so happened to take Riley's name after she changed it back on her main account, because remember, Origin does not allow duplicates, or that this is Riley's Smurf account, something that is very much possible considering that we know that she hops accounts constantly, not just on Steam but on Battle.net. The account cannot be tracked anywhere else except for Battlefield 5. Riley was simply not popular enough at this time for us to even be able to consider the idea that someone may have just stolen the name because they watched her, and because this account was abandoned not that long after. Let's assume for a second that Riley has cheated in the past, or at least cheats on occasion. What this tells me is that she bought an alt account in order to test to see if some cheats worked, and then once she was satisfied with the configuration and the fact that she was not going to get banned, she simply abandoned this account and left it at 5 hours of game time. The stats themselves do not indicate cheating, but you also have to remember that she was basically AFK for some of these games, and the cheaters do not always have the highest KDs in the world. Unfortunately, I was unable to dig up anything more about this, but it is a proposition that actually makes sense. And again, she likes to insist that she only has one alt on Steam, but are you really willing to trust someone who says they have no alts elsewhere, and yet auto logins on an account on Battle.net that fucking isn't even theirs as they claim? If you have no alts, then why are you logging into accounts that you claim aren't even yours? It's a little suspicious, right? It's not every day that you just decide to get somebody else's account to play on. It is possible, of course, that just as this controversy was unraveling, she just so happened to be on somebody else's account to boost in Modern Warfare 3, and maybe Riley and friends simply have a habit of playing on each other's accounts, but what are the odds of that? I believe it if you told me they did this in Valorant, because Valorant is a game with an active rank in which there is a great incentive in increasing your rank. Maybe you want to play with a friend, but that friend is too low rank to join the same lobby. But on any game related to Battle.net or the EA app, what are the odds of that? This on its own is not conclusive, but it is very weird and rather suspicious, don't you think? Hey, maybe it's just the former cheater in me, but this entire situation is giving me a very weird sense of deja vu, if you know what I mean. But we need to identify a motive as to why somebody would do something like this. People do not just wake up one day and decide, hey, I'm gonna cheat. And to identify a possible motive, we have to go back and consider the fucking hate. The AIM community. If you remember what I said about this so-called AIM community, this is a community that thrives on a single note in a big piano. A D minor, if you will. I am reminded of this Twitter post by Max from MP Control Ward, responding to a guy showing the reality of what it's like to be in the so-called AIM community. If you're just listening, the guy originally says, here are 2 minutes of moments that lead up to clips. This is like 80% of the gameplay until I hit that one perfect flank / don't fuck up my aim. And the associated video is just the person in question, Kaimu FPS, dying over and over and over and over again before they finally manage to hit one single clip. Max then responds with, well, lol, one of the many reasons why actual good players will always be more impressive / fun to watch than so-called aimers. It's a very good point, I believe, because the AIM community thrives off of being able to get clips, and it's not exactly entertaining to watch people dying over and over and over again for like 30 fucking minutes before they actually are able to pull off a clip, which in and of itself may last no longer than like 10 seconds. To be good at a video game, you need to have more than one single skill, and the problem with the AIM community is that it foments the development of just one single skill. So, quick question, are you really participating in the AIM community if you simply are not able to pump out clips with the frequency that you were expected to? You could say yes, but that's not really a recipe for being able to grow your audience or being able to get to the attention that you naturally seek. An attention you naturally seek because you are in a community that, to be notable in, requires constant performance and the constant ability to pump out clips, which may be impressive, such as the one you're seeing on screen now. Pinguify's most recent edit, which I can only describe as blatant rage bait, kind of shows this, because it starts off with a clickbaity clip, has a few impressive clips, and then after a few seconds it's just people getting like 2 or 3 kills that aren't really that big of a deal. Actually, remember the Google Doc I mentioned earlier for the raw input group, which includes a section outlining the expectation that you'll be able to pump out clips? That really just goes to show what the focus of this community is. Now tell me, what happens when you are someone who wants to get noticed but simply cannot pump out clips in order to be noticed with the frequency that you want? You are going to get demotivated and quit, or spend an astronomical amount of time without ever getting the praise you think you deserve. Naturally, the second option is not exactly something that's pleasing to a lot of people, so it's no surprise when you look at the raw input Steam group, which you need to request to join, by the way, and you see that there are a lot of people with recent or relatively recent bans, both VAC bans and game bans, and game bans, by the way, can be bans from anti-cheats that are not Valve anti-cheat. If you, for example, get banned for cheating in, say, a BattleEye game, it will show up as a game ban. Don't fall for the psyop of people saying, oh, game bans is just manual bans by stupid developers. No, that's not what it is. This community provides an almost direct incentive to cheat and record yourself doing so, because so long as you can hide it relatively well, a lot of people will simply not question it, and the AIM community, from experience and reports of people who have more experience with them than I do, is not exactly one where you can have an open conversation about this without it being glazed over and turned into whatever the fuck is going on here. That's in the screenshot for people just listening in the background. Have any accusations? Have any suspicions? It'll just be turned into a homophobe, bigot, a brain-dead community, bad YouTuber. You know, the usual shit people come up with in a single sentence in order to dismiss the accusatory points that a lot of people may try to make. And given how Riley herself was motivated to train her aim by people who turned out to be cheating later and nobody noticed, until much later of course, it is not a stretch to say that these people may simply not notice cheats even when it's right in their face. Take the Shimmy situation. I'm not gonna bore you with the Shimmy situation, but basically Shimmy was someone who cheated in fucking Kovacs of all things, and the only reason he was ever caught is because Viscos found it strange that Shimmy had better FPS than she did, despite the fact that Shimmy's PC is inferior to that of Viscos's. Not because of any footage, not because of any live streams, not because of behavior. No, Shimmy was only caught because of a fucking FPS counter. And I am sorry, if this is the only way you can catch a cheater within the AIM community by looking at a fucking log of the frame rate, then I am simply not going to take anybody from the AIM community seriously when they tell me that a clip is cheating or not, or that someone is cheating or not. Now, before we actually get back to analyzing Riley's clips, I have a little bit of a test for you. I'm gonna show you a couple of clips, and I want you to tell me if there's anything wrong with them at all. I'm gonna play them once at normal speed and once slowed down, and you're gonna tell me what you think is wrong in any of them, if there's anything wrong at all. I'll give you the answer afterwards, but don't worry, I legitimately want you to try. Just humor me. If you identified the first clip as cheating, then you are absolutely correct. The answer as to why this clip is cheating is right here on the screen in case you couldn't tell. But in case you need me to spell out the answer for you, then let me tell you. The speed at which the crosshair moves is incredibly inconsistent. You can see it traveling a small speed, then doing a big jump, then slowing down before actually getting on the head and shooting. This, to me, looks specifically like a magnet trigger bot, which, yes, it's exactly what it sounds like, or an aimbot that simply took over the aim of the player and decided to move at its own pace in order to hide the fact that it's artificial. In other words, it applied smoothness in order to kill the player and hide the fact that this player was cheating. Aiming in a video game, and I can't believe I have to explain this, Jesus fucking Christ, why me? Aiming in a video game implies a motion which is natural. You speed up and then you slow down, or you slow down and then speed up depending on the situation. Your aim in video games does not quadruple in speed for a single frame and then slow down back to normal for one more frame after that. The second clip is not cheating at all. You can see it because of the fluid motion, the normal reaction time, and the fact that the movement is perfectly natural. You can see the aim speed up, you can see it slow down, and it is perfectly consistent. The final clip is not cheating. You may have recognized that it's from Shroud, but you can see that the movement is consistent. You can see the aim speeding up, you can see it slowing down. You do not see bizarre motions such as the crosshair shifting upwards and then the exact frame the enemy is dead, it's suddenly going downwards or vice versa. And you can see that Shroud made a mental note of the time to kill and reacts accordingly to that, instead of only magically remembering the time to kill when there just so happens to be somebody right next to where their crosshair is. You also don't see frame perfect tracking until the hit marker shows up, at which point his aim just wobbles everywhere, so you know. So, I'm gonna be completely honest, I am completely at my limit when it comes to making this video. So, we're going to watch this, first we're going to watch this, I'm going to miss Battlefield 6 compilation, then we're going to look over a few clips from the August 9th livestream. Let's watch. I had to mute the video. Let me see. Did you see that? Did you see that? I mean, you can sort of see the little adjustment with the mouse, so it's fine, I guess. What the fuck was that? How long was that reaction time? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's normal. Yeah, that was normal. What was that? Was that something? Let's see. Okay, so did the hand cam go out of sync again? Because, yeah, the hand cam is just barely in sync. And then she flicks away? Okay, never mind, that was weird. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Fuck happened there? What the hell's happening to that guy's player model? Hasn't even killed the guy. Wow, like, is it just me, or is there like a bit of a tanking in the skill in a lot of this? Hasn't even killed this guy. Ignores him. Like, we see that her aim goes on the guy. And then it flicks away. Like, what the fuck? Okay, the guy dies and she aims at him again. Bonus points to you if you've already noticed the pattern before I say it. Damn, it's like a completely different player, don't you think? Damn, dude, it's like this is a completely different fucking player. Kills this guy. 1. That's fine. Realize she overflicked. Shoots at the floor. Damn, dude, it's like this is a completely different fucking player. Suddenly, I'm seeing a lot of recoil. Suddenly, I'm seeing a lot of wobbly fucking aim. I'm not seeing any locks. I'm seeing perfectly normal reaction times. Damn, dude. Like, this is just... Like, this is like a completely different player. It's like a completely different fucking player. Is this a different fucking player? Have you seen where her aim is going all the time? And remember, these are the clips she wanted to show us. These are the fucking clips she wanted to show us, and yet they're fucking... It's like it's a completely different fucking person playing from the ones before. Huh. Huh, it's almost like these clips were right after the fucking controversy blew up. Like, damn, dude, like this is what you wanted to show us? You became good for one day? Yeah, see? No locking, no perfect tracking of, like, the center of the bone. Just normal? Yep, normal. Normal? Good flick, honestly. Yeah, perfectly normal. What's going on here? Why does this look like a completely different fucking person? Like my noggin's a fucking jogging. Yeah, that's fine. This is normal. This is, like, I have not seen one single suspicious clip this entire time. Why is that? By this point, she's used this gun a lot more, so time to kill, like, knowing the time to kill is perfectly fine. 1. Adjusting on the boy. Wait. Is it the trend? No, it's going back up. I guess it's just a coinky-dink that she adjusted on the exact frame the guy died? That is the only suspicious thing I've seen so far. That is literally the only suspicious thing I've seen so far. I'm not, the only thing I saw suspicious was flicking on the exact frame after the guy died. And that was one single kill. Where is the suspicious behavior, Riley? Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Like, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, did she forget how to aim again? Wait, let me see. Playing only with the movement. Yeah, but okay, that was a little fast, but I'll take it. It's like it's a completely different player. Like, look. This, like, normal reaction times to killing people. After days of playing Battlefield 6, when you'd think she'd improve, you'd think she would have improved by now. But she's objectively worse than she was in the first day highlights. Damn, look at all that recoil. Where was that a couple days ago, Riley? Like, look. The delay in adjusting. Red X shows up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Adjusting on the 14th. Good tracking for a moment, but just completely whiffs it, misses. gets the kill on the guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, like, you get the point. Suddenly, she's reacting perfectly normally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that was a fast one. Okay, hold on. That was actually a fast one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Adjusting on the 6th. But she did kill 2 people before, so, you know, I'll accept it. And there was plenty of recoil there. So I was looking over the August 9th live stream, and honestly, I didn't find almost anything at all. So, if you're noticing a trend here, you're, don't worry, you're not kooky bananas, but, yeah. There's one clip here that I want to show to you guys, because it is weird, but, I won't spoil it just yet. Just roll with me for a moment. So we can see she moves here. She has a visual indicator that someone was in this direction. You could see, like, the glare. She runs up to this guy. You know, all fine. But then this happens. Now, once again, much like the August 18th compilation, I didn't find virtually anything off about this. But, this clip is a little weird to me. Now, the clip isn't weird because I think that it's cheating. I mean, you could make that assumption. And Riley's stream quality is pretty shit, but, you know. So, she had a hint that somebody was around here about 10 seconds ago. And there, we can see for a few frames that there's an indicator that someone is in there. Now, the only thing I find strange about this clip is the fact that you can see there's another guy here. And yet she does this. Instead of focusing on the person that is currently in the open, she keeps spraying this window, disregarding the guy that is completely in the open, and just so happens to catch this guy right here. So once again, ignores the guy that's in the open, and just decides to keep spraying the window in the hopes that this guy will show up. The guy that's in the window will show up. But what is more telling about this clip than anything is this. Right here, the kill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Is that an adjustment? Yeah, it's on the 18th. Once again, we're back to human reaction time, and that is a little weird to me. How it is that this person, and I'll just... It was around here. I find it a little weird how this person... who is clearly good at games. I am not going to claim that Riley sucks, but except there, like that complete potato aim on that guy. But I find it very weird that Riley's skill seems to have tanked in the course of one fucking day. Riley's aim completely went out the fucking window, or not the aim, but more so the reaction time and certain behaviors within the footage. But I find it a little strange how Riley's aim completely went out the window in the span of one single day, and outside of a few set moments, all reaction times are perfectly believable. Like, look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You get the point. You can clearly see that certain behaviors are no longer present. And now you could just say that, what even is this? What even is this? Like, look at this. Shooting at the floor. Misses. Tries to aim at the rock. Doesn't even realize it. Overflicks. Is this even, like, I'm repeating myself, but is this even the same player as in the August 8th livestream? Okay, that was cool. Yeah, so you can see, she could see the head. She got the indicator, she could see the head. She aimed there, and did a little bit of a flex moment. And before it even hit, she was already flicking. But, outside of a few moments like this, right? Does this even look like the same player we were analyzing earlier in this video? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. You can clearly see signs of skill, you can see signs of this person training their aim, but you simply do not see that behavior of tracking, almost lock-like behavior, for a couple of frames until the hit marker shows up or until the bullet leaves the mag. You do not see her immediately flicking away on every other kill or every kill constantly. You do not see the crosshair on an upwards trajectory and then moving downwards within one frame of the guy dying. You do not see inhuman reaction times to the fact that an enemy is dead outside of a few instances where you can't actually excuse that. You see her aim wobbling like far away from where the enemy actually is. I know this is pretty blurry, but just use this indicator here. You see that her aim isn't always so dead ass on the enemy. And this repeats itself throughout this entire live stream. Like I don't even have any notes related to this clip like right now. So let me just 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 adjusting on the 14th, I think it was. This simply doesn't look like the same player. It simply does not look like the same player. That's what I'm trying to get at. But then you go back to the August 8th live stream, and we're back to seeing some things that are just weird. Right? Look at this. I just pulled this up randomly. Like, I just clicked at a random timestamp in this live stream. And you notice, you know, big ass fucking LMG. Now, kudos to you if you spot the problem here. Where the fuck is the recoil? You see the screen shake, but where the fuck is the recoil? Let us see. Ooh, what a fantastic opportunity. Oh. 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 Oh, that is, I mean, let me, look at this, Crosshair's gonna show up. Not crosshair, hit marker. Oh my god, it's when the bullet leaves the gun. It's related to the ammo counter. Bullet's gonna leave the gun. And then in this frame, I'm predicting it now. This frame, aim's gonna go all over the place. Oh, look at that. How do I mouse? Right. Why do you only see this exact thing happening in one day? You can say, oh, she's having a good day, but, you know, there's some behavior here that tells me it's not exactly a case of it being a good day, and a case of, it's almost like this person's skill is on a key press. If I am able to, I don't want to risk a DMCA takedown on this channel. I'm going to try to re-upload the August 8th and 9th live streams, but if I am not sure, I will leave that to other people who do have it to share. I think we've seen enough, and it's time for the conclusions. Now, my conclusions require 2 questions to be answered. If there is anything at all that you are going to take away from this video, then let it be these 2 questions. And now, the first question is, do I personally believe that Riley cheated at some point? Yes. Yes, I do. Specifically, I believe she cheated in the August 8th livestream of Battlefield 6 beta. The behavior that we see in this livestream is simply too inconsistent with what she shows in previous livestreams and ones right after that, both in edits and full VODs. Not only that, but she is a part of a community which actively incentivizes being able to pump out consistent material, and she is someone who, for the longest time, simply did not get the recognition that you would expect to get if you are in a community that thrives off of the wow factor. Even if you hadn't shown me absolutely anything related to her gameplay at all, just from the things surrounding her, I could say that the chances of her cheating are very likely. In relative terms, of course, I think it is far more likely for someone like her with a background like hers to cheat. And some of the behaviors that we see are consistent with those from people who would just want to inject or toggle, if you will, for a day or two in order to get clips, generate buzz, and then back out the second too many eyes are on you. There are behaviors in the August 8th livestream that are worth raising your eyebrow at. And the fact that I simply do not see them with sufficient frequency in live streams before, compilations from before, and then live streams from afterwards and compilations from afterwards tells me a lot. From the sudden disappearance of recoil, the insanely fast reaction times both to flicking and to the fact that an enemy is dead, the instant adjustments the second we see an enemy gets killed, and the sudden drop in skill the second that she goes viral for cheating accusations, means that I, personally, believe that she cheated at least for one of the live streams. Specifically with an aimbot on key, relatively high RCS, high smoothness, and she would only hold that key or press that key from time to time in order to get a few clips, then turn off, so it didn't look off to her viewers. Rileycs is not a bad player, but this behavior is very suspicious. But on that note, I have to mention that I should not have been so quick to speak so definitively. Consider this my apology for having spoken so definitively in my original post. I should not have done so, especially knowing that I wouldn't be able to speak more in depth about it. It was wrong of me to do so, and I am still hesitant to do it now. But that hesitancy does not prevent me from saying that I believe that Riley cheated in the August 8th livestream. If you agree or disagree, tell me in the comments. I would legitimately love to know. Now, the second question is, if Riley is suspicious, why has the AIM community treated criticism as taboo? You may think that they have something to hide, but I don't believe this to be the case. While yes, in relative terms, there are more cheaters within the AIM community than outside of it, I think that the responses to the criticism come down to ego. It's not that they have something to hide, it's not that they're a secret cabal of cheaters or anything like that, it's just that they simply don't take the criticism seriously. No hate to anyone in particular, but the response to accusations of cheating of one member of the AIM community being, "Did you know you shouldn't peek literally everybody at the same time?" reveals that they see the critics through a lens of simply being uninformed or not good enough. And the constant use of the bigotry card did them no favors. But this is the part where I pass off the microphone to you guys. Do you think Riley's a cheater? Do you think she isn't? Do you just think she's a little suspicious? Do you think I was convincing? What are your thoughts on the AIM community? I would like to know. I'll be reading your guys' comments and engaging for a little longer, but for now, I just want to get ready for my fucking internship for the Masters that starts tomorrow and getting back to making Fallout videos. Thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for rating, thank you all for the support, and thank you so much for your patience. I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. Also, seriously, Riley, stop drinking all of this caffeine. This is really bad for you. This is really not good for you.